Durgavati's story is so inspiring. She is not a symbol of victimhood. She is a symbol of resistance. That the people in her kingdom would pay their taxes in gold mohurs or elephants. She tells her Mahut, you have to kill me. So I am not death before dishonor. I am not going to be captured alive. And he says, I can't do it. I would say read history for fun. If you don't know your past, you will consume any nonsense that people may be feeding you. When you ask them who is the best king or queen you have ever had, and they will say Rani Durgavati.
Namaste all. Today I have with me Nandini Sengupta. She is a journalist come author. She has written Rani Durgavati. So we have all heard about Rani Padmavati. Now let us hear from her what this book is all about, and then the Waller of Rani Durgavati. Namaste ji, thank you so much for your time, and it's pleasure hosting you.
Honor is all mine.
Right, so let us talk about Rani Durgavati. You said it is not a bad ending that she had, the Waller that she possessed and all that. So can you please tell us?
So Rani Durgavati is one of the finest examples of the Virangana tradition that has been part of the history of Bharat for millennia. Rani Durgavati was a medieval queen. Her kingdom, Garha Mandla or Garha Katanga, was
in Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh. In current day, if I explain, current day districts of Jabalpur, Hosangabad, Damo, Dindori, Mandla, Narsinghpur, this area was part of her kingdom of Garha Mandla or Garha Katanga. So she was a medieval queen. She was killed in her final battle by Akbar, who was a Mughal emperor at that time. His general Asaf Khan came and attacked her kingdom, and in the final battle of Narayanala or Damo, she was finally killed. She killed herself. She killed herself in a final act of sacrifice. But you have to understand that Rani Durgavati's story is so inspiring because she is not a symbol of victimhood. She is a symbol of resistance.
She gave her life while resisting.
She is a symbol of resistance, and she is a symbol of successful administration. Okay, so if you go today also, her people are tribals, Gonds, right? And if you go there, you will find that on special days, like her Balidan Divas, I was there on the 24th of June, or her birthday, which is in October. If you go there, you will find the tribal Gond women wearing yellow sari and the men wearing yellow turbans or carrying yellow angavastram. They do that in honor of Rani Durgavati. Because to them, she is a model monarch. She is a goddess. And even today, if you go and listen to their songs, Pure Raj Ma Sona Ka Sikka, the whole kingdom is full of gold coins. Ma Chandi, Ran Chandi, so she is likened to goddess Durga. So to them, she is like a goddess because she was such a good ruler. Not only did she protect her kingdom, but she was also a very good administrator. So Garha, although it was an inaccessible tribal kingdom, was enormously rich. How was it rich? And again, we have, if you read the book, you will find there are numismatic evidence, the cache of gold and silver coins. You must also remember this is at the height of the Mughal power. There were very few Hindu kingdoms in India that were minting their own coins. Garha was one of them. They were minting silver coins and gold coins. We have evidence of that. One of their gold coins is right now sitting in the British Museum. So, so you have to see that, in order to mint gold coins, your kingdom has to be very, very rich. How was this kingdom so rich? It was rich because of two reasons. Number one, people like Durgavati, and before her, her husband Dalpati and her father-in-law Sangram Shah, they have this system of water management. So they dug wells, they dug lakes, so much so that Rani Durgavati came to be known as the Tal Talao Rani. She dug so many lakes.
So what does it mean?
It means that even though this area was perennially water parched, it became a grain bowl and started exporting grain to places like Gujarat and the Deccan.
Now that there is good.
Because of the water.
Right, right.
So she was so good at administering this entire water management system that her father-in-law and husband started, and she actually, under her, it really exploded.
Right.
That area which could have become like a desert became a grain bowl and started exporting grain. The second was that this was also forested land.
Right.
So their chief produce that they exported were forest produce, among them elephants, war elephants. So when Asaf Khan, who was a Mughal general, attacked and killed Rani Durgavati's son Veer Narayan in the Battle of Chauragarh, one of the things that he plundered were 2,000 elephants. 2,000. So elephants were very important in medieval warfare.
Right.
And Garha was a place which was rich in elephants.
And they also measure the richness of a kingdom by the number of elephants and horses they had.
Absolutely. So they were very rich, and there were other forest produce, chironji seeds, timber, and so on. So they were exporting forest produce, they were exporting grain, they were exporting dairy produce.
Right.
To this day, if you go to Jabalpur, there are areas where they still make textiles. So they were very good at textiles. So it was a very prosperous kingdom, so much so that Akbar's hagiographer Abul Fazl, who of course for whom Rani Durgavati is the enemy, right? He has written in Akbarnama that the people in her kingdom would pay their taxes in gold mohurs or elephants.
Right.
So you have to be really rich, right?
Right.
To be able to pay your taxes in gold more.
Right.
So she was a very, very good queen. She was an efficient administrator. And she ruled the kingdom so well that for the last 500 years, Gond folk songs refer to her as the ideal monarch.
When you say 500 years, you also include her father.
No, she died in 1564.
Okay.
So she was born in October 5th, 1524.
Right.
So effectively 500 years later, the songs about her, if you go and listen to the Gond folk songs and folk tales, and all, they have remained unchanged.
Right.
They always talk about, when you ask them who is the best king or queen you have ever had, and they will say Rani Durgavati. And who are the enemy? The outsiders, the Mughals and the British.
Now that she was killed in action, why is that? I mean, if she was such a good administrator, so was she not able to resist, or is it the kutantra, or what do you say, the political tactics that these Mughals usually have that killed her?
No. So what happened was that Rani Durgavati had a 15-year reign, and in those 15 years, she faced more than 50 battles. 50. So you can imagine how many.
Right.
She remained unvanquished in every single one of them. You have to understand that the Mughal army was much bigger than hers. Much bigger. It was, I mean, depending on which account, you know, whether it is Ferishta or it is Abul Fazl, you know, whichever account you look at, there are different numbers that we, but effectively it is very clear that the Mughal army was at least 3 or 4 times bigger that attacked her. Right? They also had cannons. She did not. And they also had a very strong cavalry, which she did not. Despite that, the Battle of Narai Nala happened over 2 days. On the first day, they won.
Right.
They won. And how do we know this? Again, I am giving you primary sources. Abul Fazl, who is Akbar's hagiographer, clearly says in the Akbarnama that in the first day, more than 300 Mughal soldiers died, and she was victorious. Why? Because she lured them into a very narrow ravine. And the Gonds were very good sharpshooters. They were very good archers. So the Gond sharpshooters had been positioned. The Mughal army was lured into the ravine, and the Gonds took them out. And they were decimated. So if Abul Fazl himself says 300 people died, you can imagine that he will be window dressing, right? This is his emperor. Yes. So that the first day the Mughals were decimated. Then the Gonds are feeling very good. And they have won this great victory. And she calls her generals and she says to them, we have to attack at night because Asaf Khan is sitting with those big cannons. If we do not attack at night, in the morning those cannons will be in the ravine, we will lose. And her generals refuse. They say, we have just won a great victory. Our morale is sky high. Let the men rest. Besides, it's night time. Night battles were not very common in medieval India. They say, let them rest.
Is it because of the culture?
No, they were just not common. Night battles were not very common. And also, you had this whole thing about Dharma Yudh mein, na? You, at the end of sundown, you put down your, and you come back.
The reason I asked you is that.
Yeah. So they did not want to do it. And they are saying, we have won. So why should we now go and endanger our lives on a night raid which can go against us? And she said, you don't understand. Tomorrow morning we will lose our edge. And then she comes back into her war tent and she's desperate. She calls the generals who are closest to her and she tells them, I will lead the raid. Please let us go and attack those cannons. If we destroy those cannons tonight, tomorrow Asaf Khan will be dead. I promise you. They don't listen. They still say, everybody is tired. We have won a great victory. Let us rest. Tomorrow morning we will go out, all guns blazing, and we will kill them.
So it is not her defeat.
It's not her defeat. Next morning, that is exactly what happens. Asaf Khan had already rolled in the guns into the ravine, and the Gonds didn't have guns. They didn't have those cannons. So once till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they are still fighting. They are fighting very well. The Mughal attack is being pushed back, and then Bir Narayan, her son, gets very badly injured, and she sends him back to her fort in Chauragarh, and she gets into the field. Once Bir Narayan gets injured, her people think that the battle is over, so people start deserting. And she's fighting. She's at the forefront. She takes an arrow to her neck. Then she takes an arrow to her head. She's losing blood here, so she swoons because of blood loss. Her people, she is on top of her elephant. Her people looking up there think she's dead. They don't know that she is not. So they desert. When she comes back, she regains her senses. She finds only 300 people left. Her elephant is very badly injured. He's bleeding. She tells her Mahut, you have to kill me. Because if these, mlechas, they get hold of me, I know what they're going to do to me. So I'm not death before dishonor. I am not going to be captured alive. And he says, I can't do it. I can't do it. You are my queen. You are my mother. I cannot do this to you. And so she kills herself. And when she kills herself, the legend says that the elephant, the Mughals bring down the elephant. But what he does is he covers her body with his own. However, there are references that later on her dead body may have been desecrated. Veiled references. We do not know. 2 months later, Bir Narayan recovers. Asaf Khan goes and attacks Chauragarh. He is killed, and that is the end of Karamandla.
It's a pain.
It's a very, very painful but also inspiring story.
Of course, yes, and it even pains more when we hear about Hindu women being patriarchal, and then
It's not true. It is not true, because if this is what I mean, that we keep saying, oh, patriarchy and this, that. If patriarchy was so endemic in our ancient societies, we would not have had a series of really, pardon the use of my word, but kick-ass women. Literally, and she's not the only one. She's the one I'm inspired by and I've written about. But there are so many. There are people like Prabhavati Gupta, who was Chandragupta Vikramaditya's daughter. There are people like Rudramadevi. There are people like Abakka Chauta. There are people like Didda. There are people like so many queens who have ruled, who have had a long and consistent reign. Ahalya Bai Holkar. There are so many, and we would not have had that if our system was oppressively patriarchal.
Right. Now that you've been talking about the great warriors, at least the women warriors, what do you have to, tell or give a message to the youths today who believes in such patriarchy? I mean, who are fed with that patriarchy narratives?
I would say read history for fun. If you don't know your past, you will consume any nonsense that people may be feeding you. Don't do that.
Right.
Read your own history, find out the stories, and then you'll know the truth.
Thank you so much for your time that you spent with us, and then this is very inspiring. I'm sure the story that I heard from you is so painful and inspiring as well. So I'm looking forward to read this book. I would like to get it autographed from you.
Absolutely.